But there's no universe in which this nation is going to allow the previous president to flood our nation with millions and millions of illegal aliens who just get to stay here.
All right, it's official. Things are starting to ramp up as far as the deportations within the United States. Donald Trump gave a quota for the daily deportations, but the border czar, Tom Homan, he wants more and he's not satisfied. We will play you guys all of those clips. Before we get into all of this, please like this video. It's the #1 way you can help this channel out. Plus, it's free. Let's enjoy this first clip to start you off on what's going on.
All right. Are you satisfied, Tom Homan, with the pace of migrant deportations?
No. We got to do more. We got to open that aperture up, which we're going to do. It was a great start. The first week was unprecedented. I mean, the illegal crossings on the border one day was like 540. I've never seen that, and I started on board until 1984. And we went from 10,000 a day to under 600. So it's great, it's good, but we're not finished, and we need more deportations.
Okay, so things are about to get very complicated for Tom Homan and Donald Trump. I'm going to play you guys these brand new CNN clips that talk about a new demographic or a new fight in the deportations. Legal Americans who are helping illegal immigrants.
That if you are trying to actively hire illegal immigrants, if you think that's best, if you are trying to game the system, if you are trying to help someone break U.S. federal immigration law, I think if we're going to have a true crackdown on illegal immigration in this country, it has to involve everybody who's participating in it. And I think you've raised a good point with this topic. And so employers and anyone else who's part of this pipeline, I think they ought to be put on notice.
Very quick disclaimer, Donald Trump and Tom Homan have never said they will go after the employers contracting or enlisting these illegal immigrants to work within their companies. However, this is a very relevant discussion. You have people saying that we need the illegal immigrants or the economy will collapse, and you also have employers saying, look, they are hurting our American homegrown businesses because they are working for so cheap and nobody is working with us. I will let the discussion continue. You can leave your comments down below how you feel about all of this.
And you got to play by the rule. Everybody has to play by the rule.
I don't want to hear that they're doing work that no one else will do. Talk to guys in the building trades, plumbers, contractors,
picking strawberries.
These building trades guys are being hurt.
I can't
by
wait.
Labor that shouldn't be here.
I can't wait until American women can't get blueberries for their smoothies. I cannot wait until there is a full crackdown on all small businesses, as if that's going to be the solution to the immigration problem. It is just going to put immigration-related issues further into the darker corners. We're not going to see them. It's just going to become even harder to solve the problem. It doesn't make sense to punish individuals and people when there is a broken system.
I find it very insulting when news anchors don't use facts or statistics to back up their arguments and say, well, women are going to be very upset when they don't get their blueberry shakes. Now, the reason why we are still hearing arguments like this and how are you going to feel if schools start getting invaded by ICE, these are all emotional tactics that I keep saying on this channel because there are no statistics or data points to reflect on from the deportations. It is way too early, and we are just implying or thinking if we get rid of illegal immigrants, the economy is going to collapse. We don't know if that's true or not, and when Barack Obama did it during his reign, we did not see that big of an impact on the economy as far as deportations.
I mean, look, I think if you came here illegally and you did it, you broke the law, you have to understand it's a new day in America. And number two, I still think the case for total economic collapse, if we have some deportation, is totally overstated. I mean, it's obvious the priority is violent criminals, and the second priority is people with existing deportation orders. I think that's the vast majority of what's going to go on, for the next couple of years. And I don't think that's going to have any impact on the economy at all.
Super quick, I don't have any sponsors. Please head over to my T-SPLY official account on X. I will leave a pinned comment link so you guys can find it as well. I love that app over there. It's really not censored, and it's a lot better to have community where we can all talk and discuss about new events that are happening and new clips I'm going to post. Head over to my X account. I hope to see you guys over there.
The Department of Agriculture says that between 2020 and 2022, 42% of crop workers were undocumented immigrants. And in many cases, as you know, these migrants do jobs many Americans do not want to do. So how does President Trump make sure that the effort to deport people who are not in this country legally doesn't end up hurting Americans who want safe borders, absolutely, but also don't want to see even more higher prices in groceries?
Okay, so if you follow my channel, one thing you will notice is that we go over all of the trends and the new narratives. Right now, as I currently make this video, everything is about the Department of Agriculture, everything is about egg prices, anything that could tackle or make the Trump administration look bad. And especially right now, there's the narrative of, well, illegal immigrants are doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do. When was the last time we heard that? That was a very big talking point, especially back in the Barack Obama age. Now, I'm going to let Stephen Miller make his point because this is a pretty crazy interview.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not your position, Jake, you're just asking the question, that we should supply America's food with exploitative illegal alien labor. I obviously don't think that's what you're implying. Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles, and small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden floods. Mm-hmm. None of those illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 illegal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that are.
But I'm explaining this. It's important to understand.
No, you're kind of changing the subject. I mean, I'm talking about the ones.
I will give me 30 minutes. I'll go as deep as you want on this. I'm explaining to you and your audience.
I don't have a 30. I'm talking about the ones that work in the agriculture industry.
I'm
you
explaining
can come back
to you
and we
your
can talk
audience.
about the ones in the cities. I swear.
I'll do the whole answer. The illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into our country are not full stop doing farm work.
Now look, on this channel, I definitely have a more conservative bias. I am a Christian conservative. I've been very public about it. It's literally in my bio. And when Stephen Miller says something, it's most likely true in this particular topic because he lives and breathes deportations and national security threats. That's his job. I never knew that the statistic was actually not that high as far as illegal immigrants who are working in agriculture. If this is the case, I think this will break a lot of narratives and molds because without a doubt, I think as Americans, we just all assume that illegal immigrants, they're all working in the fields, they're all picking our crops, like we heard about in the last news segment where illegal immigrants are picking blueberries. If this is not the case, I think this is going to be massive for people who are against the deportations and a very big education point that we are all learning something new, that not all of these illegal immigrants are running to the fields. A lot of them are actually running to small towns and metropolitan areas.
They are not. The illegal aliens you brought in from Venezuela, from Haiti, from Nicaragua, they are not doing farm work. They are in our cities collecting welfare. As for the farmers, there is a guest worker program that President Trump supports. Over time as well, we will transition into automation, so we'll never have to have this conversation ever again. But there's no universe in which this nation is going to allow the previous president to flood our nation with millions and millions of illegal aliens who just get to stay here. And we are especially not going to allow a subset of those illegal aliens to rape and murder our citizens. So we are going to unapologetically enforce our immigration laws. And as I'm sure you will celebrate, we are going to unleash the power and might of the U.S. government to eradicate the presence of transnational threats on our soil.
Okay, so this next topic of debate is pretty big right now and relevant. As I'm making this video, there are currently many federal assisted programs that have been halted due to the fact of the exposing of some of these programs getting either ridiculous amounts of money or things like $50 million worth of condoms were supposed to go over to the Middle East. I'm going to let this clip speak for itself.
I assumed when this all happened, it would get sorted out in court. That's obviously process is underway. Not uncommon. Joe Biden had to have a few things sorted out in court, too. Pretty common thing. Number two, I didn't realize we were but 12 hours from full societal collapse after one government decision. I had no idea, but I appreciate the briefing. Number three, I think the American people are appalled at the amount of money that goes out the door every year, and it seems to be on autopilot, and it seems to be without political oversight. And I do think one of the lessons from the election was, can we get a little bit of political oversight over the unelected bureaucracy? And that is what they are attempting to do.
Okay, if you are unaware, what Scott Jennings is referring to are things like $1.2 million going to an African country to create a soapbox TV show that talks about diseases, or $50 million worth of condoms going to the World Health Organization to go over to the Middle East. Things like that of course nobody would know about. Why would you even know to look that up? And again, what Scott Jennings is implying, and I'm sort of getting that feeling too, like the average American most likely would not be about that if they started to see how much money is going to what. I'm almost positive there was a stat out there that like $1.2 million was going to empty office spaces just in case we need the offices. Things like that. And again, you can go look this all up and fact check me. It's all over X, and I post a lot of that on X. It's a lot, and I think a lot of us want a little more oversight, believe it or not.
Do I ultimately believe a lot of this is going to be walked back? Yes. Do I think members of Congress are going to draw attention to things that are quite necessary and quite useful? Absolutely. Will it take a few days to iron out? More than likely. But I do think there's a little bit of overreaction on the left today because Donald Trump and his people decided to exercise a little bit of political oversight, which I think the American people want.
It was a blanket freeze.
Okay, so here is an example of the overreaction from Chuck Schumer. Everyone knows him. He's a senator, Democrat. Essentially, this is Chuck Schumer saying, look, Donald Trump is shutting down federal spending and funding and is turning the whole country into a disaster zone.
Last night, President Trump plunged the country into chaos without a shred of warning. The Trump administration announced a halt to virtually all federal funds across the country. In an instant, Donald Trump has shut off billions, perhaps trillions of dollars that directly support states, cities, towns, schools, hospitals, small businesses, and most of all, American families. This is a dagger at the heart of the average American family in red states, in blue states, in cities, in suburbs, in rural areas.
Okay, so this is where politicians play these very evil tactics on the regular old American citizens. When I say regular American citizens, I'm talking about people who are just working every single day, whether in a factory, whether in a coffee shop, doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. When you voted for somebody like Chuck Schumer, everything he says you're most likely going to believe. But Chuck Schumer, in this entire interview or statement, does not actually say the details of why Donald Trump stopped a lot of the federal funding. Now, again, a lot of the federal funding that stopped was not vital or important to the success of an American on the individual level. I'm talking about food stamps. I'm talking about payments for VA veteran payments, things like that. This has already been determined as far as what's going to shut down and not shut down, and without a doubt, the Trump administration is trying to evaluate and assess what is a necessity for Americans and not $50 million worth of condoms going overseas when we could have used that money for Americans. Again, Chuck Schumer is using fear tactics as far as trying to go after the uneducated American and what is actually going on. And I hope this rant wasn't too long.
I think also in this environment right now where immediately there's disinformation flowing through social media networks that cleaves down partisan lines, that is stopping our ability to be united. And we should not just accept that as inevitable. That is weakening our ability to unite as a nation and as cities.
Let me answer your criticism by asking you a question.
Sure.
Do you think it was uniting or dividing while in the midst of these fires for the Democrats to go to Sacramento and in an emergency session vote to appropriate $50 million to Trump-proof California, to sue the Trump administration, which hasn't even taken office yet? Do you think that...
Okay, the reason why I played you that clip, and of course that is an older clip, about a few days before Donald Trump was officially the president, I just wanted to show you that tactics and the fear-mongering was already starting before Donald Trump became the president. And again, on this channel, I have no problems of calling out conservatives and Republicans if they are doing the same thing, but in this particular situation, and of course we are in an all-Republican administration, government, so, of course, a lot of Republicans are happy with what's going on, to include myself as of right now, because this is what I voted for. I think it's simply not fair to not educate the opposite side as far as Democrats letting other Democrats know, the voters, what is going on, and this is why Donald Trump did what he did. No, all it is that Donald Trump stopped federal funding, and that's it. Because I don't think these politicians want the regular Americans to know what they actually voted for and what they know is happening as far as funding these soapbox TV shows in Africa to educate people. And look, some of these, again, nonprofits, they deserve the money and need the money. But if you have a lot of non-oversight and a lot of really bad spending, unfortunately, like everything else in life, those rotten eggs spoil everything else. Now look, if you are still watching this video, I really appreciate it. Whether you are a Republican or Democrat, I think a really good resource you should look into is X. And whether or not you follow my account, that's okay. But one of the ways that X tackles wrong news or fear-mongering tactics is you have things like the community notes, and I think there's not a lot of education on it. Essentially, it's open AI. And what it does is it allows you to go over the facts as to why somebody is wrong with their information. And if somebody tries to change that information, they get called out on it and it says, hey, so-and-so tried to change this information. So you should go look into the platform X as far as making sure you are looking into the good news, the real news. And if you are a conservative or Democrat, again, it's actually not that biased on either side because it's been proven statistically by CNN. There's about a 50-50-ish split as far as news flow on X. So go over to this platform if you are worried about getting the wrong news. There's plenty of awesome content creators over there where you can get some really accurate and fast news.